Hello and welcome to a pilot episode, test episode for a weekend roundup that we're going to be trying out on the Celtic Down Under. This week hosted by myself, Sean Connolly. I'm going to give a quick rundown of mostly the Celtic game, but all of the weekend's action in Scotland. If you've got any feedback, comments, please let us know. We're still trying to decide if this is something we're going to do regularly, so I'll get to it. The annual New Year's Day Glasgow derby was hosted at Ibrox this year, with both teams coming in on a rich vein of league form. Penalty to Rangers were on a 4-game winning run in the league, following the dead cat bounce that they got from sacking their diminutive Dutchman. And the champions arrived, having won 12 straight league games, going back to the St Mirren defeat in mid-September. This was billed as a 6-pointer and a must-win game for Penalty 2, who went with a fast-paced attacking lineup. Postecoglou's starting 11 surprised somewhat by featuring the two most in-form wingers in Maeda and Forrest, despite the recent derby exploits of Jota and Abada, who settled for the bench. There was also a debut at right-back for the Canadian Alistair Johnson, with £25 million World Cup superstar Josip Juranovic joining new signing Kobayashi and Gavin Strachan's laptop in the dugout. Celtic got off to a flyer when Daisen Maeda collected a square ball from Alfredo Morelos, previously linked with Real Madrid. Jaunted past two static Old Firm FC defenders and slotted past the on-rushing Alan McGregor. The hosts looked rattled, but Celtic failed to capitalise, and the momentum of the game turned when Greg Taylor went off injured and was replaced by an out-of-position, out-of-focus, out-of-fitness and mentally out of Scotland Josip Juranovic, who was most culpable for the two early second-half goals, which put Old Firm FC ahead in the game. Before he left the field, Greg Taylor provided a derby highlight for the annals when he told the remonstrating Morelos, "F off, fat boy," in one of the funniest derby highlights since Callum McGregor shouting "shite bag" at Borna Barisic in the corresponding fixture last year. Speaking of shite bags, the Crown Bar's favourite son, John Beaton, and VAR operator Willie Collum both passed responsibility to each other like a hot potato when declining to award a clear and obvious handball against Connor Goldson in the Sevco penalty area. One has visions of Willie Collum pulling his glasses down his nose, staring hard over the top of them with a furrowed brow at the remote control, trying to find the rewind button before exasperatedly throwing his hands in the air and giving up on the task as too challenging. To be fair to the officials, the interpretation of unnatural can be a bit confusing when you look at some people wearing Sevco tops. Postecoglou admitted after the match that he got the fullback substitution wrong and that Juranovic had a poor game, but that he was reluctant to throw Bernabei into the cauldron of hate. However, if we're to criticise Ange for that sub, then credit must go to the manager for leaving Kyogo on the pitch when bringing on Giakoumakis late in the game and boldly removing the far more industrious and involved Hatate. Kyogo found space in the box to smash home a late equaliser after some ricocheting and perseverance from Moy and Jota to ensure that Celtic came out the game with the same 9-point lead over the nearest challengers that they had going into it. The BBC awarded the man of the match to Fashion Sakala, who consistently rinsed Josip Juranovic in the second half, but also troubled spectators in the Copeland upper with some of his shooting. From a Celtic perspective, Cameron Carter-Vickers was the outstanding performer, with a strong, assured, combative performance throughout, which included an unbelievable goal-saving sliding block on Malik Tillman minutes before Celtic equalised. Despite 4 goals, this won't be remembered as a classic, with Penalty 2 essentially putting all their focus on killing any attempt at football being played once they had a lead, with the support of match officials and ball boys, in what could scarcely have been considered entertaining to the neutral observer, other than for macabre, gawking purposes at the epitome of Scottish football. Speaking of which, there was a full match card for the Scottish public holiday. The Edinburgh Derby took place at Tynecastle, with the hosts winning comfortably 3-0, to set up an intriguing lovers' quarrel between Michael Stewart and John Collins on the BBC coverage about which of the Edinburgh sides had played better on the day. A double from newly anointed captain Lawrence Shankland saw him draw level with Kyogo Furuhashi in the top flight scoring charts on 15 goals apiece. Australian centre-back Kyle Rowles was also singled out for praise as he repeatedly dealt with Hibs' 21 fruitless crosses into the box. The third-placed Edinburgh Rangers closed the gap on their Glasgow sister club to 15 points and extended their lead over fourth-placed Aberdeen to 5 points. There was a clash of managerial ex-Celtic players at Pittodrie, with Aberdeen and Ross County both ending runs of 4 straight defeats, thanks to an uninspiring 0-0 draw dominated by the hosts. Jim Goodwin claimed that he wasn't concerned in the slightest, despite vocal fan unrest. Ross County manager Malky Mackay showed the sage wisdom which served him so well at Cardiff City, with his post-match rationalisation that there's a lot of football to go, we've played everyone, some a couple of times. Celtic loanee Liam Scales racked up his 17th league appearance for the Dons, playing at left centre-back, and a tactically changed back four, having previously been deployed on the left of a back three. In the other Glasgow derby of the day, Scotland's oldest club, Queen's Park, beat Partick Thistle 2-0, with goals from Scottish journeyman Simon Murray and former Stoke City youth prospect Patrick Jarrett. The Spiders, managed by nearly Celt Owen Coyle, now sit top of the Scottish Championship, following back-to-back promotions since they broke with 152 years of tradition as an amateur club and turned professional in 2019. Yesterday's derby win was played at Stenhousemuir, despite the Spiders planning to have their new Lesser Hampden ground open by now. They're still hoping to have their home ready for next month and the historic promotion push this season. The main talking point of the St Johnstone versus Dundee United game surrounded ticket pricing. The travelling Arabs sold out their away allocation, but the Fair City Unity supporters group staged a fake boycott and protested ticket prices by standing at other areas of the away section for the duration of the first half to leave a section empty. The masterful trickery was then completed as they were observed climbing over seats to get back to their allocated area at half-time. On the pitch, former Celtic striker Tony Watt scored an 81st minute winner for the visitors and tweeted post-match that one meant a lot, despite the goal having no bearing on Dundee United's continuing placement at 11th in the league. At Rugby Park, St Mirren and Kilmarnock observed a minute of applause for Celtic and St Mirren legend Frank McGarvey and some Brazilian guy who was pretty good too. The Buddies went down to 10 men after only 7 minutes for an off-the-ball elbow to the face by Ethan Erhahon, but former Celt Marcus Fraser turned in a man-of-the-match performance at centre-back to keep the game scoreless and take a point back to Paisley. Livingston moved up a place to 6th, despite being held to a 1-1 draw at home against Motherwell. Nicky Devlin had two first-half penalties saved by Motherwell goalkeeper Liam Kelly, who will be hoping to stake a claim for Scotland number 1, following the leg break to Craig Gordon. Devlin did manage to score a rebound from one of the penalties, but VAR correctly ruled it out for handball. In EPL-related news, an unsubstantiated rumour surfaced on Twitter that Celtic may be due a bonus payout if Kieran Tierney wins the league with Arsenal, after they extended their lead over Man City to 7 points after the Manchester team drew 1-1 at home against Everton and the Gunners won 4-2 at Brighton. The former Celt has been featuring regularly from the bench, but has been mainly playing backup to Ukrainian left-back Oleh Suchenko, whilst also rotating with the Japanese international Takahiro Tomiyasu. In other Celtic-related news, Rocco Vata, son of Celtic semi-legend Rudai Vata, made headlines for several reasons in the last week. 1. Senior debut coming off the bench versus Hibs at the age of 17. He was born in Glasgow in 2005, just 6 days before Craig Bellamy was booked for celebrating a goal that gave us a 2-1 win at Ibrox. Number 2, he was subsequently linked with Bayern Munich and other European poachers of youth talent. Number 3, he scored the opening goal in a 5-2 derby win for the B team at Celtic Park while wearing the number 7. And mainly, number 4, he laughed in the face of former Irish international teammate Charles McCann of the Sevco B team after the now Northern Irish youngster scored an own goal for Celtic. Our B team are now 3 points behind the table-topping Sevco B team in the Scottish Lowland League, but with a game in hand still to be played. In an act of top-level pettiness, the Celtic social media team omitted the Sevco goals from the 5-minute highlight package, but did include a clip of Toby Oluwayemi time-wasting before the full-time whistle and post-match celebration. The Celtic women's team remain 3 points off table-topping Glasgow City as the winter shutdown continues, with games set to resume in 2 weeks. And that's my 10-minute summary of the weekend's action. If you have any feedback or suggestions, please leave them in the comments. Thank you.